KNBR and KNBR FM, your home of San Francisco 49ers football. It's time to bring the 49ers to the forefront.
It's go time. This is the best team that they can put on the field this year.
Welcome to 49ers Forecast.
You guys are going to hear it. The latest from the locker room, the latest from the podium, the latest scuttle from the players.
On your proud home of 49ers football. Touchdown! KNBR, the sports leader. Your faithful fix with your host Larry Krueger begins now.
And away we go. Welcome to 49er Forecast. Larry Krueger with you on this Saturday, December the 13th. As you're running around, man, I got a list of honeydews today that goes a long way. I mean, I got to talk, and I got to talk fast because I got all kinds of things to do today. We got to wash the dog. I got to shop for 4 or 5 Christmas gifts. I got to go send them back east to my relatives back east. I got to get that done. I've got to get the tree up. We got the tree, but it's not up. We got to put the tree up. Yes, we're going with the real tree. Can't go with the fake tree. I love the smell of the real tree. So we got to put the tree up today. We got all kinds of things. I'm even barbecuing later today. I know that sounds crazy for December, but I am. So we got a lot going on. We got a lot going on this Saturday. We got to get it all in on a Saturday because tomorrow I am Niners, and more Niners. That's right. I'll be on the pregame. I'll be on the postgame. I'll do a YouTube postgame show, and when that's over, we are all up in it tomorrow. Niners and Titans, Week 15. The Niners playoff push continues, and I'm really looking forward to it. I'm thinking it's going to be a fun game to watch. I think this is going to be a good one. I like the Niners to win this game. I try to always stay somewhat balanced in my view of the matchup, just because anything can happen. It's the NFL. Bad teams beat good teams a lot. I've seen the Raiders beat the Chiefs. I've seen bad teams rise up and beat good teams. I saw Carolina. Didn't Carolina beat Green Bay at Green Bay about a month ago? Bad teams can beat good teams. It easily can happen. You're always in the NFL. In college, there's so many series. The games go on for so long that if you're really going to pull an upset, it's going to take something huge. You're going to have to be quite a bit better for 4 hours. In the NFL, it's not the way it works. In the NFL, you get a big play or two on special teams, a turnover, maybe 2 turnovers, and anybody can beat anybody. So you look at the statistical profiles of the Niners and the Titans, and you're like, there's no way, no how, no way this Titans team is coming here and beating the 49ers in their backyard in December with the playoffs on the line and everything that the Niners have riding on this game. No way. But you never know. And that's, the old coach used to say, Larry, let me tell you, boy, it's the way you play the day you play. I always loved all those coaching isms. Can't make the club in the tub and all these different things. But yeah, there's no truer words have ever been spoken. It's the way you play the day you play. You can be great in practice, but what do you do on Sunday? What do you do on Sunday? And all that matters is the way you play on game day. Now, looking at the statistical profile, though, I'm talking to some of the Titans beat writers this week. I mean, I've never talked to a more negative group of people about their chances of winning a game. It's like their beat writers, at least the ones that I've talked to, aren't giving them much of a shot in this game. When I've watched the Titans a couple times this year, I saw them come back and beat Arizona. How did they do it? Well, Arizona, Mercado down the ball at the 1 as he was going into the end zone to make it 28-0. And it was the craziest game from that point on. Cardinals did not score a point after that, I don't believe. And they got run over. And Cam Ward played great down the stretch. And the Titans beat the Cardinals that day. And it killed my survivor pool, by the way. That's why I was watching that game. You're saying, why would you watch Titans Cardinals? But yeah, I said, oh, you know what? Give me the Cardinals at home against the Titans. Titans are horrible. Mercado downs it at the 1, and the rest of the day was an absolute tire fire nightmare of a survivor pool. But it showed me a couple things. One, the Cam Ward that I remember beating Cal coming from behind, the Cam Ward who's got a little magic to him, he still has that magic. So you don't want to let this guy hang around. If you let this guy hang around in the fourth quarter, he will make plays and beat you. I mean, he's definitely a good young quarterback. I'm definitely a Cam Ward fan. Now the numbers, I mean, they go three wide more than any team in pro football. So they got 11 personnel out there. They go three wide receivers, and two of those wide receivers are rookies, and Cam's a rookie. So that right there kind of tells you why they're not very good. They also are dead last in the NFL in second half rush attempts. So they're falling behind in games, and the run game is being taken away from them. But it's actually not a bad run game. They have Tony Pollard and Tyjae Spears and a decent offensive line led by their guard, Peter Skoronski, the former Northwestern star, who was a first-round pick. They can run the ball. They've got some decent runners. But the game situation has dictated that they haven't been able to run the ball in the second half, and the Niners are hoping to do exactly that. Take away their ability to run the ball in the second half by getting ahead on the scoreboard and making them in a kind of a come-from-behind mode. But just looking at their statistical profile, usually there's like, oh, yeah, okay, they're not great here, but they're really good here. Even a team like the Browns, it's like, oh, man, the Browns are bad, and Shador and their offense, and they still had Quinshon Judkins. They still had Myles Garrett. They still have Denzel Ward. They could still run the ball. They still could make some plays in the pass rush game. And the Browns had some strengths. I'm looking at the Titans at 2-11. They're 31st in the NFL in points per game on offense. They score 15 a game. They can't score. Well, you think, well, maybe it's just points. Maybe they're really good in yards. No, they're not. they're dead last in the NFL in total offense. They average 246 yards per game. It's the worst in football. They're 31st in rush offense. As I said, they don't run it a lot in the second half. That's a big part of that. 84.9 yards per game. That doesn't really reveal how well they run it. It just shows their total is really bad because they're falling behind in games, and the run game is obsolete come the second drive of the second half. Passing offense, they're 31st in the NFL. They're not a dangerous passing team. They don't possess the ball. They're 25th in time of possession. Well, maybe they're good on D. They do have Jeffrey Simmons and Cedric Gray and, Amani Hooker and some guys. They're 29th in points allowed per game, which is kind of amazing. If you think of the Niners are 8th in points allowed per game on defense. Niners give up 20 points a game. Titans give up 27.5, almost 28 a game. The Titans have 32 sacks and are mid-pack, 13th in the NFL. Niners have 16 sacks, half as many, and are dead last. So somehow Robert Saleh is with no pass rush, secondary that's not very opportunistic. 49ers have 5 picks all year. They're 28th in interceptions. A pass defense that's 25th in the NFL. And yet Robert Saleh's defense is top 10 in points per game. So they're doing some things right for sure. But you look at the Titans on the defensive side of the ball, they're 29th in points allowed, 26th in total defense. They give up 350 yards a game. They're 18th against the run. They're 23rd against the pass. Mid-pack and sacks. Simmons is a beast in the middle. He's probably the best defensive tackle going right now. He's really, really good. It's funny how Chris Jones and him both came out of Mississippi State. Mississippi State's like a defensive tackle factory right now. But yeah, 32 sacks, mid-pack, 13th. They're 26th in interceptions, 21st in punting average, and they're 25th. Titans are in turnover differential, -5, 25th. So, I mean, you look at them and say, well, can they beat you in the past? Well, no. Can they beat you? Well, no. I mean, can they beat you running it? No. Passing it? No. So the moral of the story is they can't beat you. Don't beat yourself. That's really it. Don't beat yourself. Don't turn it over. I thought Brock Purdy against Cleveland was spectacular. Now, I asked Shanahan about it. He didn't necessarily go with me on it. I said, Kyle, don't you think this is one of Brock's better performances? He's like, no. No, I don't think so. And I get it. He's seen a lot of more prolific performances where his yards per attempt were better, his yards were better, his completion percentage was higher. I get it. I understand what he's talking about. But what I'm talking about is Brock Purdy is like one of two things. He can make plays, he can run around, he's smart, he's competitive as heck. He makes a lot of plays. He makes guys around him better. He's when he's at his best and he's healthy, he's got mobility. He's smart. He can process. He's accurate. He plays on time. He's good. He's a good quarterback when he's healthy and he's playing well. He's really, really good. But it's one of those things where can he be healthy? Is he healthy? And I thought one of the things I mentioned to Brock was I thought his escapability against the Browns looked pretty good. He got away from Isaiah McGuire. He got away from Myles Garrett. That same Browns team had like 7 hits on the quarterback. The week prior, they had 20 against the Raiders. Niners held them to 7. I think the Niners gave up 1 sack. The Raiders gave up 10 sacks. So the Niners offensive line did a pretty good job, and Brock did a pretty good job. But it's all about Brock's ability to get the ball out and not take negative plays. And I thought last week was one of his best games. He had 7 throwaways. And I think Jennifer Leachan asked the question to Kubiak, was that the game plan? Was the game plan to have Brock throw it away? And he's like, no, I mean, that wasn't necessarily the game plan per se to have him throw it away, but we did, enforce or emphasize to Brock going into this game, this isn't the team to hold the ball against. We can't hold the ball. We can't sit there in the pocket and hitch and hitch and hitch. Otherwise, we're going to wind up on our can, hurt, in a muddy field. You're going to be sitting there on the ground with Myles Garrett on top of you if you hitch 4 times. Don't. So if it's there, let it rip. And if it ain't there, let it go. Throw it away. Move on to the next play. And you know what? In that mindset, I think they discovered something that is the best of Brock Purdy. He is a playmaker. He does process well. He is smart. He is competitive. He's a damn good quarterback. But he has a tendency, especially recently, not as much early in his career when he had his greatest success, but recently he's held the ball a little bit more. He's not doing it for no reason. He's doing it because he's got to get his receivers aren't freeing up. He's doing it because he's trying to scan the field. He's trying to give his guys one more hitch to, free themselves up, get open. He's hunting the big play. I get all that. This is a guy, though, that if he takes care of the football, is pretty hard to beat. And what did we see last week or 2 weeks ago in Cleveland? Terrible conditions, wind, rain, Myles Garrett on the other side. But what did he do? He didn't just make plays. He eradicated and avoided and eliminated all negative plays. He didn't take sacks. He didn't throw picks. He took care of the football. And I think it's a template for how the 49ers can win this whole thing. Run the ball. Avoid negative plays. Don't turn it over. Rely a little bit on your defense, even though your defense is depleted, but rely on your special teams. The 49ers are a pretty good special teams unit right now. Rely on that special teams unit. You get to 4th and long, instead of trying to make it happen, or 3rd and forever, punt, play defense, play field position, be a little bit more conservative at times, but more than anything, take care of the football. Short fields. Don't give your opponent short fields. Let them give you short fields. Sky Moore is doing a great job right now at giving the Niners advantageous field position. So that's a great thing. And having your special teams set you up like that is something the Niners are not used to, and it's a great thing to lean on. The key is don't give your opponent short fields. Make them drive the length of the field. Play ball, play complementary football. You're already playing pretty good, sound defense, but you're playing well on special teams. If you can run the ball and play complementary football and take care of the ball, I don't think there's anybody they can't beat. Now, I would not want to play the Rams, but bring on whoever, wherever. If I'll take my chances with the 49ers offense, defense, and special teams if Brock Purdy takes care of the football. Simple as that. If he takes care of the football, I like their chances. Um, the other reason I kind of like the Niners' chances down the stretch, they're getting Tatum Bethune back. They're getting Nick Martin back, most likely. They're getting Sam McQuinu back. They're getting Eddie Pinheiro back. They're getting healthier. And you get Sam McQuinu back and up front, I think that could really help. He was playing well. I love what I'm seeing out of Cleve Farrell and Keon White. Those guys are playing well. And if Bethune and Nick Martin and Sam O, these guys all get back in rhythm playing defensively, suddenly the 49ers could be just good enough. And then you look around the league, everybody looks kind of flawed, and you're not going to have to beat every one of these teams. You're going to have to beat a couple of them. And if you can win, if you can run the table, beat Tennessee and win these last 3 games, you can run the table. Who knows? The entire road to the playoffs and the road to the Super Bowl in the NFC could roll through Levi's. You may never leave your home stadium if you can just run the table here in these final 4 games. I think they can do it. I definitely think they're going to beat Tennessee. Now you're probably going to get Phillip Rivers coming off of an NFL game, his first in 5 years in Indy. I think that's a very winnable game suddenly. Don't tell me the Niners can't beat Seattle. I absolutely have seen them do it. And then it really comes down to the showdown against, Ben Johnson and the Bears. How good are the Niners against the Bears? Can the Niners, to me, if there's one thing I'd love to see in this game against the Titans, save Christian McCaffrey. He was ill this week. You can beat them with Brian Robinson. Brian Robinson is a starting NFL running back. Use Brian Robinson. CMC's got 322 touches. He's on pace for historic numbers of touches. There's no reason for that. There's no reason for CMC to have historic touches when Brian Robinson, a starting caliber back, is his backup. Play the backup, Kyle. Especially if you get up 10 points in this game, play your backup. Play Tonjes. Don't play Kittle. Throw it to Bourne. Don't throw it to JJ. Hand it to B. Rob. Don't hand it to CMC. Why? Because it's a long freaking year. It's a long year. And you've already used Kittle and JJ and CMC a little bit, especially CMC. The usage has been heavy. This would be a great spot to maybe get a 10-point lead. I don't know. Maybe you get a 10, 12, 10, 14-point lead in this game. Maybe you start running the ball with Robinson. I think I'd like to see that. I think I'd like to see them ease off the CMC gas pedal just a tad in this game. Run the ball, win this game, get on to the next game. And if you can do it with anybody not named Kittle, CMC, and JJ, I think you're going to be better for it in the long term. All right, let's do this. Let's take a timeout. Todd Husack's going to stop by. I love Todd Husack. Todd Husack is, when him and Dave Fleming were doing Stanford football, that was the best broadcast team I think I'd heard on ball. Why? Because Dave's sharp as hell, really good announcer, as you guys all know. But it's all Husack. Husack's a great analyst. He's a Stanford guy. He's smart. He played quarterback, played in the NFL. Very grounded, solid thinking, football mind. Man, I am really enjoying the setup this year on KNBR is that I sit next to Copes and JD and Husack up in the press box. And man, I really enjoy it, man. I really enjoy it because I'm sitting there with a guy who played pro football, who played college football, and we can have some really good high-level football conversations. And Todd sees the game, sees coverages, sees little nuances that other people wouldn't see, and it's made me a smarter person just watching the game with him. So I really enjoy it. And he's going to join us next. So we'll break it all down. We'll get his thoughts on this matchup and where the Niners sit coming out of the bye. The turn for home. Can the 49ers run the table and win the Super Bowl this year? I know it's a long shot. I know they're not the favorite, but I think it's doable. And we'll talk more about it next with Todd Husack on 49er Forecast on this Saturday on the Sports Leader.
Faithful 49ers forecast with Larry Krueger now continues on your proud home of 49ers football. KNBR, the sports leader.
All right, welcome back to 49er Forecast. Larry Krueger with you on a Saturday as we get you ready for the Niners and the Titans tomorrow. Can't wait for this one. Should be a really good ball game. 49ers coming off the bye week, playing really good football since Brock Purdy has come back, and the Titans are coming off a win of their own, only their second of the year. And with us on the UMA guest line to chop it up and talk some ball is one of our favorites, Todd Husack, who you will hear tomorrow on the pregame and postgame show with Tracy Sandler and Adam Copeland, Tim Webb, and, of course, yours truly. And he's with us on the Sports Leader to break it all down. Todd, how are you?
I'm doing great. What a finish to the NFL season we're getting ready for. I mean, the NFC it's crowded at the top, but it's also wide open. So it'll be fascinating to see. I mean, week to week, teams that you think will win don't, and teams that you think are kind of not very good jump up and bite teams that are fighting for big time playoff spots. So you mentioned it, a big one for the Niners to just take care of business and hopefully put themselves in position to not only make the playoffs, but that number one seed is still out there. And who knows what the best team is right now, because I certainly don't. It really is week to week.
No, it absolutely is. Let's go back to week 13, 2 weeks ago. The last time we saw the 49ers on the field, they beat the Browns on a windy, cold, a winter mix in Cleveland, I think is what they described it. It was 26-8 49ers. Purdy played very well. He didn't throw for a lot of yards. He didn't have a big yards per attempt. It wasn't like he had a high completion percentage, but you know what? He took care of the football, and in those conditions against Myles Garrett and that defense, I thought that was absolutely huge. And we had a chance earlier in the week to talk to Kubiak about it. And the question was, hey, did you tell Brock, throw the ball away? Because he threw the ball away 7 times. And he said, well, no, not per se, not throw the ball away per se, but we just told him, hey, in this game, we can't hold the ball. We can't hitch in the pocket against this line this week. And so he was kind of a little bit sped up. If it wasn't there, he was looking to unload it. And, I don't know. I think what resulted may have been that they found the secret ingredient to making Brock Purdy successful because, as I said, he wasn't that impressive as far as completion percentage or driving the ball down the field, but he took care of the football, and if he takes care of the football, they got a great chance to win any game they're in.
Well, I think 2 things going into that game, and we had talked about it during the week, is field position was going to be huge. In a game where you're playing a team that doesn't move the ball very well offensively, what you can't do is give them a short field. And so that's 2 things. Number one, moving the ball a little bit, even if it's a little bit, moving the ball and pinning them deep, and then special teams. And not only did the 49ers move the ball, they obviously didn't turn it over, but completed the passes that Brock Purdy should complete. He threw it away when he should throw it away and not take a loss and put themselves in bad field position. And the special teams were awesome, like huge game changers, which it's been a few years since we've been able to say that about the 49ers. So just a great strategy going in where they played the field position game and then made plays. But from a quarterback's perspective, weather is obviously a factor, but wind, in my history, wind was way worse than wet or snow or anything. When it's windy, that's hard. Gosh, he didn't drive the ball down the field, but he drove the ball underneath, and he put it where it had to be. He made some really good throws in tough conditions. It wasn't super cold, but it was pretty cold, but it was windy. And when you're throwing the ball from the right hash to the left sideline, which he did a couple times, those are tough throws. And he put it right where it had to be on time. He made quick decisions, and he didn't make mistakes. And when you have a defense that's playing like the 49ers are, and then special teams that make some big plays, that was what they needed, and that was a recipe for a win.
Christian McCaffrey once again was strong in that game, and he's but 2.7 a carry. You know, he's not really. They're not running it very efficiently. The 49ers ran 33 times for 91 yards, 2.8 a carry. You know, it's funny. We go into a lot of football games like, hey, you know what? The team that runs it better and stops the run is going to win the game. But that wasn't the case in this game. The Browns were the team that ran it better. Judkins averaged 4 yards a carry. The Browns averaged 4.5 a carry. But they lost the game, where the 49ers averaged 2.8 a carry and won the game. Why do you think the Niners are struggling efficiency-wise in the run game?
Well, I think it's the offensive line has played much better over the last few weeks. I don't think there's any question. Like, they've kept Brock Purdy upright, and even with that Browns pass rush, and when the Browns did get free, Brock protected the offensive line, so there wasn't big sack numbers. They got the one, but limiting those sack opportunities. But also, if you're a defensive coordinator, you're taking away Christian McCaffrey, and you're going to force Brock Purdy to hurt you. And I think we've seen that's what we saw against the Browns. They were committed to stopping the run and put it in Brock Purdy's hands, and he made the Browns pay. I think that's what with good offenses. If a defensive coordinator is going to make the choice, we're going to take away this portion, you have answers. And so far, the 49ers have had answers. And when Brock Purdy's back, and Mac Jones did a great job, but when Brock Purdy's back there and can survey the field and make the right decision and put it on the money, they can make teams pay. Because if you're going to stop the run, that means it's one-on-one coverage, or there's going to be some opportunities in the passing game. And they took advantage just enough. It wasn't a big offensive game, which I don't think anybody was expecting it to be, but they did enough. And what good football teams do, it's a defense that bends but doesn't break, and they're not giving up touchdowns in the red zone, and they're doing just enough. In the last month of the season, they've done a great job creating turnovers, and that's what good teams do. And good teams have great special teams, which the 49ers have developed over the course of the season. We saw solid special teams early, not great, but when you can come up with one or two big special teams plays, the kicking game is something we cannot ignore, because it's been, Larry, how many times did we sit in the preseason talking about Jake Moody and the kicking game, and are they going to be good with field goals? They've been great with field goals, and they've been great on special teams the last month of the season. And that's all of a sudden the Niners don't have a ton of weaknesses. You're right. In order for the team to be super successful offensively, you need the 15-yard carry or the 25-yard carry. We've seen, we haven't seen a ton of long carries, but moving those chains and putting themselves in second and shorts, especially on first down, if you can get a 6 or 7 yard carry, that just opens up the offensive playbook for Kyle Shanahan, which is where he wants to operate. And it wasn't easy against the Browns, but they did enough in the passing game. And again, credit the defense for stepping up. Robert Saleh is the coach of the year from a coordinator standpoint. He has done an incredible job top to bottom with guys that either weren't on the roster or maybe third string. And they're throwing guys out there that literally were not on any roster like 3 months ago, and they're coming in and contributing at a high level. So the fact that everybody's on the same page, offense, defense, special teams, they're getting it done. Right now, I think we saw the Rams game, and there's been some hiccups throughout the season. Like Jaguars was a tough one, Buccaneers was a tough one. But I think the way the 49ers are playing right now, going into the home stretch of the season, they're in a great spot to contribute, like to move up in the playoff standings and really compete for that number one spot.
No question about it. And they, historically have played well after the bye week, under Shanahan, 5-1 in the week after, but like 49-19 or something like that after the bye, just, from that point to the end of the year. When you hear those numbers and you hear that Shanahan's teams are so good after the bye, I mean, I've tried to ask him about it a little bit. Is there a secret message to the team? Is there a point of emphasis that leads to that success? Any you want to venture a guess? And I realize I'm asking you really to just guess because we don't know exactly what he says. But why, if you had to come up with a theory on why you think Shanahan's 49ers are better after the bye, anything come to mind?
Well, I think for the last few years, they've needed this year coming late. I think it's a huge opportunity for them to rest and get healthy. They've been healthy over the last month, where the start of the year, the first 2 months were a disaster. It was like every Monday, the injury report would come out. It's like, good grief. And not just guys out for 2 to 3 weeks, but it's guys out for 2 to 3 months or guys out for the season. So getting healthy, but you give Kyle Shanahan and Robert Saleh a chance to game plan, not just for 4 days, but for 2 weeks. They will come up with some designs and some schemes and some plays that are going to attack an offense and a defense in ways that they haven't seen before. And I think Shanahan does it as well as anybody. It's not necessarily week to week. It's building off the previous week. Like they show things throughout the season. I go back to, it was either the first or second play of the game, Kyle Juszczyk running down the field. I think it was against the Browns, and he hits them down the field. They had run that motion and that shift a number of times, and they had not thrown the ball to Kyle Juszczyk. And all of a sudden, instead of blocking that end man line of scrimmage, he runs down, he runs a corner route, and he's wide open. And those are the types of things that good offensive coordinators do, because they know the defensive coaches are watching that tape, and they're prepared for certain looks and certain motions. And all of a sudden, it's a changeup. And that's what Kyle Shanahan throws great changeups every week. And it's not every play, but it's 4 or 5 times a game where he gets the defense out of position or gets that linebacker to take one wrong step, and that's all Juszczyk needs to run by him and be wide open. And I think that's where the 49ers excel. They have a great coaching staff, and they have players that buy in and know the game plan and execute at a really high level. And it's been fun to watch over the last few weeks.
There's the thing that seems like it's going hand in hand is right now they're struggling to run the ball efficiently, and they're not necessarily creating a lot of explosives either in the pass game or in the run game. And the more I look at it, the more I just think that, they really haven't targeted a lot of explosive players. I mean, their fastest guys are Watkins, Cowing, and Pearsall. They haven't targeted those guys very much this year, and that could be a big reason they don't have more explosive pass plays and maybe even tied to why they're not as efficient as they could be in the run game. What do you make of Ricky Pearsall? He's back, he's contributing, but he's not producing. He's yet to have the 100-yard days that we saw at the end of last year or at the beginning of this year. Do you see anything with Pearsall? I think he's starting to feel a little bit of the pressure. He's a former first-round pick. He's only had, I think, 20 yards receiving in the last 3 games combined. It's not a lot. What do you see with Pearsall?
Yeah, that's you put that on top of what they've been able to do with winning over the last 3 weeks of the season or last 3 games. The fact that they're getting very little production at the wide receiver position makes it even more impressive. I think Ricky Pearsall has the ability, and he was the guy that I think you were hoping would be the down the field threat. And Brock Purdy throws as good of a deep ball as there is in the NFL. He can get it down the field. The fact that they've been able to do that without wide receiver production is even more impressive. I think as you look at the game against the Titans is super important, obviously, but Titans are a bad team. Hopefully they can take care of business a few big plays would help open up everything. And as they look at the last 3 weeks with the Colts, the Bears, and then the Seahawks, they're going to need that big playability. It's not a field position game. They need to score some points. And I think what Robert Saleh has done a great job of is exposing that in the NFL, it's really hard to have 10-play drives and 12-play drives. And not every team can do it. In fact, there's only a few teams that can do that consistently. And that's, I think, Robert Saleh's approach is we're going to force teams to be really good consistently. Not many teams can. And I think the 49ers are in a position where they have the talent to be productive and explosive, but they need to let it rip over the last month of the season. And they're going to have some home games. Hopefully the weather's good where they can push the ball down the field. But that is a part of the game, and it's been all season. They didn't have a 20-yard carry until I think week 12, week 13. Like it took a long time for them to get an explosive play in the run game, period. And we haven't seen them even attempt passes down the field, especially with Mac Jones. Brock Purdy brings that ability. In order for them to make it deep in the playoffs, they need that. They need to change field position. They need a big play touchdown because it's going to be hard. As you start playing these teams that can move the ball consistently down the field, 49ers offense has to take that next step, which includes big plays both in the run and pass game. Christian McCaffrey, we've seen him do it. He hasn't done it this year, which I think is a little concerning, but hopefully with that passing game opening up, guys are healthy, guys are rested. Kyle Shanahan has some work to do, but that will be the difference, I think, in them making it far in the playoffs or being one and done.
Let's talk about Saleh. He told us, on Thursday that he felt like that Browns game, that the Niners' fatigue showed a little bit, that they really were needing the bye, that they missed a lot of tackles in that game, and that he thinks that's a great indicator of fatigue. And I would agree. I think anytime you see teams missing lots of tackles, falling off lots of tackles, usually there's a fatigue factor. This team's been going at it every single week since July. I mean, that's a lot of straight weeks of banging heads. But the two guys I got to ask you about are the two guys that Lynch picked up at the trade deadline, Clelin Ferrell and Keion White. Now, a couple weeks ago when these guys first walked into the room, they're both really quiet, understated. When Clelin Ferrell talked to the media, he was almost whispering. I walked in there yesterday. He's, dancing around, high-fiving guys, jumping around, feeling good. Keion White, when I interviewed him in his locker a couple weeks ago, he's like, hey, man, I'm just trying to learn the scheme, and I'm trying to stay out of the way. And, it's like real quiet, unassuming guy. He's now laughing it up, yucking it up with some of his teammates and watching videos and shooting jump shots. And these guys are contributing, and they're feeling more a part of the team. And I think those things probably go hand in hand. You could probably speak to that as a former player, but they've got two players there that are really interesting. One, because White was an incredibly athletic, uber athletic second-round pick who just wasn't a scheme fit in New England. And now he looks amazing. He looks absolutely amazing. Inside, outside, he's a scheme fit here. He looks fresh. He looks fantastic. And then Clelin Ferrell, Lynch mentioned yesterday or Saleh mentioned the other day that he may have lost a few pounds. And maybe he came into the league, he was thinking, got to be more like 270, 275, and now he's more like 260, 265, and he just feels like he's picked up a step or two. And Ferrell looks fast, and he's got 4 sacks in 4 games. His career high was 4 sacks in 15 games back in 2019. So these two guys, not big additions, didn't cost a whole lot. Where would they be without them? And do you think that they can give them what they absolutely have to have down the stretch? Because it's exciting to watch these two guys step in and not just contribute, almost kind of lead the way.
Well, Larry, you've been around long enough, and you're a huge draft head. Guys who get drafted high in the draft all have the physical skills. You don't get drafted that high unless you're big, strong, fast, super athletic, right? I mean, there's a ton of those guys that get drafted every year, and there's a ton of those guys on NFL rosters, sometimes near the bottom, and they don't pan out. And sometimes it's guys that are so big and so strong. And I saw it in high school and in college. You get guys who come in, they've never had to work. They've never they've never had to put in the extra effort to be great because they just show up and they're like, I don't know, in high school or in college, I'll get 4 sacks and, I can just show up and dominate. All of a sudden you get to the next level and I'm not the biggest and strongest in passes. I've got to work hard, and it doesn't always click early in their career. And I'm not saying that's the case with these guys, but what great coaches do is unlock potential and get guys to believe that if I do this, I will have this level of success that I want. And these guys are prideful. They wouldn't have made it to that level if they don't want to be great, but it's not always clear to them how to do it. And I think what Robert Saleh and what Kyle Shanahan do is unlock potential in their players. Look at the offensive side. George Kittle's a 5th-round pick, and Brock Purdy's the last pick in the draft. And you have these guys who have it in them to be great, but they need some help. And I think getting in an organization with the right culture and the right people around them, and it's not just the coaches, it's the players who work and who do it the right way consistently every day and who learn the game plan and study it and get it right. And that feeds on itself, and all of a sudden you've got, we saw with the Patriots when they won all their Super Bowls. You get guys in who can take their game to the next level. Remember Randy Moss and joining the Patriots, and all of a sudden he was always great. Even he elevated it to the next level. So being around people who work hard and do things the right way all the time. It's not do it the right way once in a while. It's doing it the right way, like eating right and working out right and paying attention in meetings. I've been in those meetings. Half the guys don't like. When I got drafted by the Redskins in 2000, we had Deion Sanders and Champ Bailey, and we had 9 first-round picks on our starting 11 defense. 9, and we were very good because a lot of these guys were at the end of their career and they didn't put in the work. They had the physical ability, but they were kind of over it.
Was Bruce Smith on that team?
Bruce Smith was on that team.
I was going to say,
starting front four, Larry, our starting front four was Big Daddy Wilkinson, Bruce Smith, Kennard Lang. We had, Dana Stubblefield.
Wow.
That's crazy. That's crazy. But those guys weren't paying the attention to detail that needed, even with all that talent. By the way, our secondary was Champ Bailey, Deion Sanders, and Darrell Green, and Mark Carrier. And we had LeVar Arrington, Sean Barber, and Derek Smith at linebacker.
These guys were awesome. All like 3 to 4 years past where they should have been. But yeah, it's incredible names.
The joke was we had the '94 Pro Bowl team, but it was 2000.
Exactly.
But there was still enough talent there to perform at a high level, but they didn't put in the work necessary to be great. And that's why we finished 8-8 that year. So you need to, as a coach and as an organization, you need to unlock that talent. And that's, I think, what Robert Saleh has shown the ability to do. That's what great coaches do. They bring in guys to believe and unlock their capabilities. And we're seeing it on Sundays right now with the 49ers.
2 last thoughts before we let you go. We appreciate your time. Shedeur Sanders threw for 150 yards against the Niners. He went up against this Titans defense the very next week, also in Cleveland, and I don't know what the weather was like, but he threw for 364 yards and 3 touchdowns against the Titans. Should we expect Brock Purdy to have a prolific, big 300-plus yard passing day, you think? The Titans do have some injuries at the corner spot, and they're pretty banged up in the secondary. You think this is a big Purdy passing day?
I think it's going to be. I think, by the way, it's not going to get any easier going forward. The Colts are in a rough spot right now. We'll see how they do this weekend. But this is going to be a game where the 49ers can do some things offensively and start to develop a rhythm for the last month of the season where they can feel really good about their passing game. Let's rip off a couple big runs. I think this is coming off a bye, a get-right game for them to get the offense going. Defense has been playing so well. And special teams. I'd love to see the offense have a 400-plus yard day, and it doesn't have to be all passing. Let's see Christian McCaffrey rip off a few big runs, hopefully not play in the fourth quarter. I know this is getting a little cocky, but this could be a game where they take advantage early, get out to a big lead, rest some guys, and get ready for the last 3 weeks. The opportunities are there to have that type of game because the Titans just aren't good. But I agree with you. I think this could be a game where Brock Purdy comes out firing, and we see 100 yards from Ricky Pearsall, and we see a big day from George Kittle, and all of a sudden teams are watching the tape next couple weeks with the Colts and the Bears. Like, whew, man, we got some work to do.
I got to ask you the final question. We appreciate your time. You played at Stanford and were a product of the 2000 draft, and you finished up playing for the Browns in 2004.
Yep.
In 2009, if we had called you, could you have played? I bring up this because of
2009.
Philip.
I probably still could have done it.
Yeah, I was going to say, what year?
I probably still could have gotten out
You're
there.
47. Philip Rivers is 44. You haven't played since 04.
He's a grandpa, though.
You haven't played since 04. He hasn't played since 2020. It's 2025. Could you have what year was it that you – was there a point where you said to your wife or your family, you know what, even if they called today with a great contract, there's no way I could do it anymore?
Listen, I'd still, if they call it a great contract, I'd go tomorrow. I'd give it my best shot.
They may call. They may call.
Yeah, GM's out there. Hey, John Lynch, if you're listening, I'm ready. Give me that 1 day contract. Yeah, there's.
How amazed are you by this story, though? How amazed? I mean, come on, you played the position. You played the position. You played in the pros. You know what it's like. This is one of the craziest, wildest stories in the history of the NFL, and that's not hyperbole.
I totally agree. If he comes out and plays this weekend and plays at high level, there's a couple things. I look at what Joe Flacco has done over the last few years, right? Joe Flacco was traded after week 3 or something like that, interdivision, to the Bengals and went out and threw for like 450 yards.
Right.
Like it shows you. By the way, I think he threw for 450 yards after like 2 days of practice or 3 days of practice. It shows you that when you have a certain skill set, you can still do what you need to do. What bummed me out is if you're like, because I was in this position, if you're a third or fourth year guy, and I was there, I got cut by the Browns, and I'm working out. I stayed in Cleveland, unfortunately, for a few extra weeks. Like, I'm going to keep working out. My agent's like, hey, guys will get hurt, and you're going to get the call. Imagine being that guy who's worked out for the last 12 or 13 weeks, waiting for that call, and you see a guy get, and they sign Philip Rivers. It's like, oh, man. Like, I think Philip Rivers has put more guys out of retirement this week than he's doing – more than he's doing for himself. But I think it's incredible that if he, like the fact that he went and worked out and still showed enough that he could do it. I'm looking forward to it. That game is circled on my calendar. I can't wait to watch it because I'm hoping he comes out and lights it up. He is one of there's certain guys I like to watch, like Andrew Luck was an all-timer, and there's certain, like Aaron Rodgers for me, I love watching him, and guys that do it at a different level, like guys that do things that I could not do. And Philip Rivers he played at a high level for a very long time. And maybe part of it is, I'm sure a few of his kids are out of the house. He has 11 kids. He might need a break from the home life.
A hobby,
hey, honey, I'll be back in a month.
Hobby.
Yeah, I'll be back in a month. I'm going to go play an NFL season. I mean, it's crazy. Like, and I'm sure there's a bunch of guys that retired over the last few years that are like, gosh, I could probably still do it, but we'll see if he can. It'll be a fascinating story to watch to see if he comes in and plays and how he does.
It's not even sport. It's at this point, it's spectacle. But you know what? I'm all here for it. I'm in for it. The ratings are going to be absolutely fat on Monday Night Football. If he plays well against Seattle, the ratings for Niners Colts will be through the roof. Everybody, the idle curiosity of what? This 44-year-old guy who hasn't played in 5 years? And you're right. Everybody's going to be like, hey, I want that. Give me next. I'm next. Steve Young was like, me and Jerry were talking about it. It's like, no, don't do it. I think it's going to be bad. I think he's going to get hurt. I think it's going to be ugly. Hey, Todd, always great to wrap with you. We will see you up in the press box during Niners Titans, and I always look forward to our conversations. Thanks for jumping on 49er Forecast and giving us a little preview.
Yeah, can't wait. By the way, it's my son's 15th birthday tomorrow. He'll be in the stands with his buddies. So
awesome,
hope for a birthday blowout.
Happy birthday, Henry Husack. There you go.
There you go. Love it.
Good to talk to you, man. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
My pleasure as always.
Todd Husack, former voice of the Stanford Cardinal, now one of the voices on KNBR for 49er pre and post. Stopping by on 49er Forecast. We got more straight ahead on the Sports Leader.
This is where you get your faithful fix. 49ers Forecast with Larry Krueger keeps rolling on KNBR, the sports leader.
All right, welcome back. 49er Forecast on a Saturday. Man, I hope you enjoyed Todd Husack. He is phenomenal. I'm looking forward to tomorrow. Looking forward to the Niners' 10th win of the year. Expecting to see it. But what I'm also really fired up about tomorrow is Brent Jones is going into the Edward J. DeBartolo Sr. 49er Hall of Fame. There is no better guy than Brent Jones. Great football player. Played college ball at Santa Clara when they had football back in the day. Got that good Jesuit education at Santa Clara, and he's had a great career. Has had a great post career. 2-time All-Pro, 4-time Pro Bowler, 3-time Super Bowl champion. When I think of Brent Jones, I think of Super Bowl 29, second half, I believe. Steve Young, perfect fade on the sideline to Brent Jones, who burned the great Junior Seau for a nice little gainer in that game. It was a beautiful pass, beautiful catch. And, of course, the late Junior Seau was as good a linebacker as there's ever been, right, in my opinion. But way to go, Brent Jones, man. Seriously. Native of San Jose. Played collegiately at Santa Clara, and, it all starts with a dream. And he had an injury early in his career. He overcame it, and what a career. What a career. And played with Joe, played with Steve, was a trusted agent for both quarterbacks, had a huge 7-yard touchdown reception in the 55-10 win over Denver. I bet you Brent Jones didn't even appreciate, how much success he was having and the team was having, because he comes right into the league and boom, Super Bowl 23, Super Bowl 24. It's like, hey, man, this is easy. Didn't get back there until Super Bowl 29 with Steve Young in January of 95. I still remember when I think of Brent Jones, I also think of Brent Jones took some monster hits in a game when I was at, I think it was a 91 against the New York Giants. And I've never seen a tight end just get beat up and brutalized like he was that day. But he didn't, just kept coming, just took those hits and kept coming. So gotten to know the man a little bit post-career. We've done some charitable events. We opened the counter in Walnut Creek together. And we're there that night when it opened, and just, been able to hang out with Brent a number of times through the years, with Tolbert and all the great times we had on the radio. I love Brent Jones, man. He's a great Niner. He's well deserving. 11-year NFL career, all with the Niners, which at the end of the day makes it even that much cooler. 143 games, 126 starts, 11-year career in the NFL, 417 career receptions, 5,195 career yards, 33 touchdowns, 21 postseason games, 19 starts, 5 touchdowns in the playoffs. Brent Jones, I tip my cap to you, my friend, on a career well done. And we'll be honoring you tomorrow at Levi's. So everybody, make sure you stick around and watch Brent Jones inducted into the Niner Hall of Fame. Awesome dude. Awesome dude. All right, we're going to take one more time out. We're going to come back and wrap it up. And we got Army-Navy around the corner. Army and Navy from Baltimore. We'll have the broadcast shortly on the Sports Leader.
Faithful, time to make some Niners noise. 49ers Forecast with Larry Krueger now continues on your proud home of 49ers football. KNBR, the sports leader.
All right, we're coming down the home stretch. It's 49er Forecast on a Saturday. Larry Krueger with you. Hope you enjoyed Todd Husack. Thanks to Chips McCarthy for producing. Done an outstanding job as always. Up next, the 126th playing of Army and Navy. That's right. Westwood One will have the coverage. John Sadek and Mike Mayock on the call. The midshipmen own a 63, 55, and 7 advantage in the matchup. It's on TV on CBS today. And if you do catch it on the tube, this will be the 17th call on CBS for Gary Danielson, who is retiring. Danielson is fantastic, former quarterback and great announcer. I think he's been as good of an announcer as he was a quarterback. Nobody's called more Army-Navy games on TV than Gary Danielson. Vern Lundquist did it 11 times, 9 on play-by-play, twice as a sideline guy, but now 17th and final call for Gary Danielson. And they're playing this one today at M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore. Army 6-5, Navy is 9-2. Navy's a 6.5-point favorite. Both these teams are going bowling. So this is not the end of the season for either team. Both the cadets and the midshipmen are headed to a bowl. Army 6-5, 4-4 in their conference. Navy went 9-2, 7-1 in the American Conference. So there you go. Navy and Army, they're going to kick it off at noon Pacific, 3 o'clock Eastern. So we're going to throw it to the pregame show. That's going to do it for us, though. Thanks to Todd Husack. Thanks to Chips. Thanks to you guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Make sure you tune in. Adam Copeland, Tracy Sandler, Todd Husack, Tim Webb. They will have the pregame show. I will join them for a short segment in the pre as well as the post, all from Levi's Stadium. And then I'll be doing my Krug show post-game on the YouTube side after the post-game tomorrow night. So looking forward to a great Sunday in Santa Clara. As I said, I got a lot of honeydews. Got to get the Christmas tree, got Christmas presents. I got all kinds of things I got to do. I want to watch some college football later on. I'm trying to queue. I got to go. I mean, I got things to do. So anyway, have a great Saturday, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.